5 p.m. We're going to open an early meeting this morning regarding the budget. I'm going to dispatch with the Pledge of Allegiance until our 5:15 meeting. The roll call will show that all council members are present. We'll move on to reports, which is the fiscal year 2025 proposed property tax levy public hearing. We'll open a public hearing at 5 p.m.
No, I guess I didn't even
Okay. And we'll
plan on making any comments,
for
so.
us to-
Well, I'll just review it real quick. So this is the time to have our public hearing on the proposed property tax levy. It was a requirement that was put into place a couple years ago, set by the state. The city is actually having a levy of $12.16, which is the same levy as last year. I do have prepared here, this is a screenshot of the notice that was mailed to all property owners, the actual notice that was mailed. And you can see the notice has information from the school, the city, as well as the county, and what the proposed rate is on the very far right, and then if you can move over towards the left, you can see what the current rate is. I did a quick calculation of all three entities added together, and from fiscal 25 to fiscal 26, when you add them all together, it's actually a decrease of about 11 cents for a property owner. So that was the first front side of the page, and then on the back side of the page, also another requirement of the state code is to show that the property taxes, that the actual dollars that are being requested by the different entities, and what up on the top there is the percentage of the taxes that are being collected in the city, where they are being distributed between those different entities. And then the bottom part is hypothetical examples of a property valued at $100,000 in the first year using the current tax rate, and then it assumes that the value of the property does go up 10% to $110,000 to show, using then the proposed rate, what the property tax collected by those entities, what it would be, and then the percent change. And then it also walks through a hypothetical example for a business that's valued at $300,000 this current fiscal year, and then next year having a 10% increase to $330,000, and what that change does. The one thing I would say that it is a hypothetical. It's not a guarantee that the property values will increase year over year. And a matter of fact, unless you had done some major improvements to your home, there was not an increase in your assessed value here in the city of Carroll from fiscal 25 to fiscal 26. So don't let the percent change, I guess, throw you and think that your property taxes are automatically going up. So anyway, this is the time for the public hearing, and if there's any questions or comments, it's up for council to listen.
All right. No public comments. Apparently, anyone on the council have any questions or anything? All right, Aaron, would you have anything you want to add?
I do not at this point in time, no.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. It's 5:04 p.m. With that said, I guess we will look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Tom?
Jason?
Jason seconded?
Yep.
Got my name already?
No, I never remember. No. Yeah, you were gone in a meeting. I must have forgotten. Roll call, please.
Bordenero?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Shrek? Yes. We are adjourned.
25. All right, good evening. It is 5:15. It's time for our bi-monthly meeting, March 24th. And let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the roll call will show that all council members are present. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes of the March 10th, 25 meeting, approval of bills and claims, license and permits, which include a renewal of Class B retail alcohol license for Sparky's One Stop number 29, and Carroll Merchants Park Baseball Club, a resolution allowing Merchants Baseball Club to sell alcoholic beverages at Merchants Park, and a new 8-month special Class C retail alcohol license with outdoor service. It also includes infill housing incentive program applications and a bid opening report for the Parks Department. Mo, are there any questions? Motion? to approve? By Tom?
Second.
Jason? Roll call, please.
Shrek?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Seaman?
yes,
Cordero?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, are there any oral requests from the audience this evening that would regard anything that is not on our agenda? Anyone have anything to speak about this evening? All right, we'll move on to ordinances. We have one, and that is City Hall Leisure Services Department and Library Change Funds Ordinance Amendment. And Laura?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is more of a cleanup ordinance that we had come to our attention. First off, with the city hall change funds, it was allowed in our ordinance, but a dollar amount was not listed. So we were asking to update this to put in that we currently operate with $200 for our change funds. The Leisure Services Department is requesting to be able to have the ability to get change funds when they have special activities that go on during the year, including their kids' night out, breakfast with Santa, as well as running the concession stand for the fall and spring soccer league. And then finally, the library is asking to have some change on hand to make change when they have patrons come in and transact with them. They do have some small fees that they charge, and they're asking for $75 in the change fund. So this is an ordinance change, and so that would require 3 readings. We're asking council to approve the first reading, waive the second and third, and then adopt the ordinance.
Any questions? Without any question, I look for the first motion to approve the first reading and waive the second and third readings of the proposed ordinance.
So moved.
By Jason, JJ seconded. Roll call, please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
yes,
Yes.
Atherton? Shrek?
Yes.
Cordero?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
And a motion to adopt the ordinance as presented.
So moved.
JJ, Jason seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Shrek?
Yes.
Seaman?
yes,
Atherton?
Yes.
Cordero?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Your ordinance is adopted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There are no resolutions this evening. We'll move on to reports. The first report is the fiscal year 25-26 budget to set a public hearing date. And Laura?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we just held our public hearing on the proposed fiscal 26 tax levy, and then now is the time, our next step in the process is to set the public hearing for adoption of the full budget. What you have before you tonight is the actual forms, the state forms that are completed based upon the budget presentation that was made to council during our budget work sessions. And it includes the actual revenues and expenses for the fiscal year that we just completed for fiscal 26, or excuse me, fiscal 24. The estimated revenues and expenses for our current year we're operating under fiscal 25, and then the proposed revenue and expenses for fiscal 26. And it also sets the levy at the $12.16. If there are no questions tonight, we're asking to approve this proposed budget, and then which sets our public hearing date for April 14th, which is our next council meeting.
All right, any questions about the budget as it stands? So you need a motion to approve it and then set a public
It
hearing?
can be all one motion.
Okay, we'll look for a motion to approve the proposed fiscal year 25-26 budget, including setting April 14th, 2025 as the date for a public hearing of the proposal. Is there a motion? By Tom
second,
and Carolyn, roll call, please.
Shrek?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Cordero?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Atherton?
No.
Seaman?
yes,
Motion is approved.
Okay. Thank you, and we'll move on to 12th Street reconstruction. And Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On February 10th, you selected an option titled 1A for proceeding with the 12th Street reconstruction project. If you'll recall, that option was for a 28-foot roadway width with no parking and replacement of sidewalks only as needed for construction. Your motion also included the possibility of choosing what was termed an option 3. That was a complete streets option, parking permitted on one side of the street, and replacement of all sidewalks plus the addition of some sidewalks. Following that approval, we went to the field and evaluated all of the existing sidewalks for ADA compliance. And we have presented that information tonight. We've attached a map illustrating the locations of existing sidewalks that would need to be replaced to conform with the ADA, plus a recommendation for some additional sidewalk. Also included in your information is a summary table of those options that you had previously seen with that updated cost estimate. And that actually needs to be updated one more time. We determined this morning that there was an error in that cost estimate. So on that, the table that includes the 5 options, the option number 3, the bold recommended total cost is listed at $981,860. That should actually be $961,860. So it's reduced by another $20,000. And what that basically says is it lowered that option 3 cost by about $40,500 as opposed to the $20,500 listed in your memorandum. I want to reiterate, of course, that the numbers in that table are for comparison only, and they include the paving, the subgrade preparation, and sidewalk. Within the total project, there's more construction required. There will be water main, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, culvert construction. So total project cost is currently in the preliminary stage, but it is at $5.2 million. Like I say, these numbers are for comparison of the 5 options only. We've also included for you a plot of the current parking restrictions on the project. That's for information's sake, for your information. And also included information on some speed data that was gathered by the police department. That is basically somewhere in here. Of course, speed data was taken for both eastbound and westbound 12th Street. Regulatory speed is 25 miles an hour, residential speed in the city. The 85th percentile speed from that speed study was 30 miles an hour for eastbound and 28 for westbound. So the 85th percentile speed is that speed that 85% of the vehicles are traveling at or below. And that's the speed that is generally used for speed zone setting if you were on a street that had speed zones to be set. Average speed, 22.8 for eastbound, 24 miles an hour for westbound. So well within the posted or regulatory speed. At this time, unless there are any questions, I'd recommend you consider this information provided and provide direction to either continue with the development of the option 1A or selection of an alternative option.
I'll make a motion for 3, I guess, which
I would,
excludes the sidewalks.
yeah, just doing some quick math, I did figure out the increase in cost from 1 to 3 is $89,100, and it's 1.7% of the total project for the sidewalk, so.
Right, and
And that includes parking on the one side, correct?
Yes, that would permit parking on one
It's gonna leave
side.
the parking
Nothing
exactly
changes.
the same way it is now,
Exactly
right?
the same.
Exactly
It'll leave
the
parking
same.
exactly the same way it is now.
There's one block that will have to be addressed. In the plot that you have in the exhibit, there's, on the west leg, there's one block between Carroll and West that has parking permitted on both sides. So that will have to be addressed as this project is developed.
Randy, when you say addressed,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that?
I don't like that word.
Well, parking will only be permitted on one side. So one side will have to be removed in that block. Now, you can take a look at certainly the east,
Go ahead.
everything east of Main has parking removed on the north side. So that's, you know, if you want to leave it the same, that's absolutely conforms to the design criteria. On west of Main, of course, the first block between Main and Adams, parking's prohibited on both sides of the street currently. In the next block between Adams and Carroll, it's prohibited on the south side, permitted on the north. In the next block between Carroll and West, it's currently permitted on both sides. So one side will have to be selected to be removed.
I would,
Can't you just keep it the same all the way down? Can't we just keep it the same all the way down? No parking on that one side?
Sure,
That's the
Yeah.
choice, yeah.
yeah,
That'd
that's
be the
one.
easiest.
Yeah.
As long as there's still parking where it was currently, except for the option that you've
That,
got here.
there's one block that has to change.
Yeah.
That block has to change.
That's
They
real
can still
as
park
well.
on the one side of the street.
Yes,
that's where that pump
Yes.
station is, correct?
yes, it is.
I would say don't park by the pump station.
Well, that's an alternative to remove parking from the north side of that section between Main and West. That takes it out of the pump station side, if you want to remove it all on the same side. Not necessary, but, you know, it could be.
And that's something that, I guess, the people that live over there, you guys can figure out what side of the you know, what I mean, you guys can give us an input on what side of the road you wanna park on, I guess.
I think that south is better because like, people coming up at that hill go pretty fast.
Okay,
They jog around that, driveway by the condos,
Yep.
so a lot of times they're in the middle of the street, you know.
and you don't have to make a decision now, I think I just would say, Randy, when it comes to that point, maybe, I guess, I don't know if that's possible.
To me, it comes down to safety,
Yeah,
whichever is
yeah,
deemed the
whatever is
safest
safest, yeah.
is the most accident, least likely to cause an accident. There's no difference, is that what you're saying? None.
No, there wouldn't be,
And-
not on this street.
What's your thought?
Okay.
And Randy, the block you're talking about, when you look at where the houses are facing, it makes sense to, you know, to consider where the houses are located because they're the ones that need the parking, you know, at certain times. So I think it'll be easy to figure out. But yeah, we need to keep the parking. We need more accessibility throughout our city. And I've heard from people that don't even live on 12th Street, and they told me they're happy we're working on this, especially the accessibility to go along with the parking. So they see this as a good project.
I have, Brad, just one quick question, it's almost unrelated, but when you do these traffic studies, is that, what kind of vehicles are we counting here? Four-wheeled or?
It's the signs that you're seeing and they don't take into account.
Okay, so it's a
Whatever
bicycle
vehicle.
might go by and drop it down to 8 miles an hour, or 4 miles an hour if it be. So, right, okay, but they are counted in that.
It can be, yes.
Yeah, no,
And can you tell us what the maximum speed you noticed on there was?
I don't have it with
I have
me.
to pull it out and find it quick.
Mayor, if I may, why don't we have Brad, myself, and Randy have a conversation regarding where we're gonna put the parking? And then just bring that back to the council at a later date.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
if there are no questions, Jason, you wanna keep your motion?
Yeah, I'll take my motion for number 3.
All right, motion was made to adopt number 3, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Laverne seconded it, roll call vote, please.
Bauer?
Yep.
Seaman?
Yes.
Cordero?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Schreiber? Motion is approved.
Thank you. We'll move on to the last report, which is pickup truck purchase on the wastewater division, from the wastewater division, and Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. On March 11th, bids were received for the purchase of a pickup for use in the wastewater division. 3 bids were received. Woodrock Motor Company submitted the low bid at $32,787. There is currently $25,000 budgeted for the purchase of this pickup in the sewer utility fund. The difference between that number and the low bid is probably due to a combination of factors. The first is we had to go to a 3/4 ton pickup as opposed to a 1/2 ton in order to get the GVW to handle the trailer at the wastewater treatment plant. Secondly, a 4-wheel drive was recommended to be purchased in lieu of a 2-wheel drive. And each one adds to, obviously, to the cost. And then thirdly, maybe the budget may have been a little low anyway. So it's a combination of things. If it's approved, we expect delivery during this fiscal year. And once again, if it's approved, that sewer utility fund would be monitored for possible amendment if necessary due to this type of purchase. Unless there are any questions, I'd recommend that your consideration of approval of the purchase of the pickup truck from Whitrock Motor Company at their bid price of $32,787.
So moved.
Second.
No questions?
Tom,
All right.
Kyle.
Tom, you made the motion and Kyle seconded. Roll call, please.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Warner, Bauer.
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Shrek. Yes, motion is approved.
Thank you very much. Committee reports, we can review on our own. I have no comments as mayor. Are there any comments from the city council this evening? And how about from the city manager?
Yeah, I have well, actually, I have two things. First off, starting Wednesday through Friday, I will be out of the office. I will be at the Institute for Municipal Managers in Iowa City. So it's one of the annual conferences I do go to. It's most of the city managers in the state of Iowa. The second thing is was it last week or the week before, the Iowans for Tax Relief gave a presentation here in Carroll. They were presenting on the overall tax growth or property tax growth. It was interesting to note that their graph that they were showing. Can you pull that up quick, Laura? It's just the Carroll, the line graph there. The interesting thing to note is the blue line there, which is the top line, if you look all the way to the right, is the reasonable growth. And then the green line, which is just underneath that, is the inflation. And then if you look down way below that in the red, that is our property tax revenue line. So by the Iowans for Tax Relief webpage and their metrics, the city of Carroll has done a really good job in maintaining our budget and maintaining our revenues to not continue to the high spike with inflation and with the reasonable growth that they're figuring. And they figure based on population growth and inflation is how they come up with their reasonable growth percentage. So if you look though, really, I thought that if our line in general has been a fairly level line all the way back to about 2019 to 2020. And I think the city has been under good fiscal management since then, maintaining and keeping our balanced budget at a very stable rate for revenues to maintain services within the city. If you look down a little further, back up, right there. You'll look at the property tax growth was at 15.1% for the city of Carroll, and then statewide averages is at 44.8%. So again, we are maintaining a very good percentage and levy rate as compared to the rest of the state. Just like Laura mentioned in our budget meeting or the public hearing here earlier, our budget rate or levy rate is going to be $12.16, which is the same as last year, which means we are not raising our levy or our rate at all. It does increase a little bit of revenue for the city, but not to an extent as Laura pointed out either. So the last thing, if you go down, scroll down to the cities, stop there, little up higher. There you go. You'll see that as far as population comparisons with levy rates, we are third lowest in the state as far as population comparisons when you're talking cities from 9,000 to 15,000 population. Again, which tells me that we've done a good job. We're also maintaining that levy and we're doing a good job with our comparative cities also. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
I've been on this website quite a bit. Go back, keep going down. A little more, a little more. Okay, how come it's not in there? There's supposed to be a state of Iowa right there. There it is.
There.
So you can go on to Carroll and see the difference in the homes. Okay, so if you look at the lighter color, it shows less dollars per, like 175,000. Go to one that's a little darker blue. See, there's same house as taxes at 3,300. Yeah.
Go back to.
So you can
Carroll.
go to Eldora once, that's in the middle, right there. Almost 4,000. They're almost double our taxes on $175,000. So this is a great comparison. Go back up on the chart again. Go back, you can, this map is really good, keep going up. Keep going. Okay, this bar chart, okay, look at that. Our expenses, what we are in the average, you know, we're quite a bit under, but a couple things pop out at me here. We're doing capital projects. We're spending a pretty good amount of money on capital projects compared to the state, but we're still, our expenditures are less. So we're fixing up our town and our cost is still below. The other one that concerns me, though, drop down a little bit, is economic developers, second from the bottom. We're not spending much money on that. That's a concern. Now, go up to the cities. We're up on top, we're in the blue up there.
The city
So
comparisons.
the graph going to, cities up on top. No, don't scroll. It's not moving on you.
Oh, sorry, that's right here.
Punch in, I don't know. Lamar's. Comparable sound. Now go down to that graph. Look at there, you know, our red line was below their lines. So you can go to any city you want in the state, and if you do this a number of times, we really stand out.
Go back to ours.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm comparing it to. Yes, it was.
So
For schools.
they had, on that Iowa chart, they had some numbers that were not comparing apples to apples, so I called them and told them about it. And I had they ended up calling me back and we had a long conversation. And remember, this is Iowa's for tax relief, so they're trying to make sure our taxes are low. And my conversation with this individual that runs this is, we're one of the few cities that look this good. And this is, you know, you just go to Iowa Tax Relief, you'll find it, and you can play around with this all you want, but it's a great tool if we're comparing ourselves to other cities, how well we're doing.
Ask people to look at the school one as well as they'll be voting.
You can look at the school, you can look at the counties, you
They'll
can,
be voting on theirs on Thursday.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see where not always the city's fault.
Well, that's why I mentioned that we aren't raising taxes this year. It will be another entity.
go to debt. No, up and up above again, go to debt. You're in Carroll, right? There you go. Now scroll down. The big blue circles are the ones that are really in trouble.
As far as debt?
Ours is what, 900? We're almost one of the lowest in the state on our debt. And we provide a lot of amenities to this community. So if anybody ever mentions that, our taxes are way out of line, you can use this as a tool to help you present your case.
All right, well, thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
All right,
So moved.
all right.
For second.
Tom and Jason. Second.
Yes.
Roll call.
Thank you.
Atherton,
Yes.
Bauer.
Yes.
Bornero.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Dirk.
Yes.
Shrek. Yes. Mayor Aaron.